Well, hi there, Upworkers. My name is Ruben, and I'm a top-rated plus freelancer on Upwork. Today, we're going to talk about 3 pretty basic rules that you can follow in order to nail that job application for your chosen job posting to get that very first job on the platform. Now, this is a video in a series on Upwork for beginners. We've already talked about how to make your profile stand out and how to identify the right types of job posts for that very first job on the site. So if you haven't watched those, go ahead and do that first. Otherwise, this information we give you today is not going to be too helpful if your profile isn't made properly and you're applying for the wrong type of work. But assuming you've done all that, then let's dive into these 3 rules for you to be well on your way to securing that first gig. Here goes. Rule number 1, personalize each cover letter for every job posting that you apply for. This is a job application. Copy and paste does not apply here. Copy and paste does not apply here. So nice, I said it twice. Now, what do you need to personalize with your application? Well, a few things. Your expertise. If you have a skill set that is specific to the job posting that's listed that applies for it, let them know about it. If you have certifications in a certain program or a license that applies, tell them. Secondly, your experience. If you've worked on projects that are similar or worked for a company in the same industry or had interactions within that same industry, tell them. And what else should you be personalizing? Well, you should be personalizing that personal connection that you have. Look for some way to make a personal connection with whoever has written that job posting. For example, often in the job posting, they will name the actual company that this work is for. Look that company up, see where they're headquartered. If they're headquartered in a city that you've been to, tell them that you've been to where their headquarters are and say something that you liked about that city. Doing so, it just does a couple of things. Number 1, it's going to make you stand out because there's a personal connection point there and it will show you're human and friendly and approachable. And secondly, it shows initiative, that you did a bit of research on them, that you've put in the effort as well, and that will make you stand out. Even if that person that made the job posting doesn't work from the headquarters in this instance, it will still say a lot about you, who you are as a freelancer, and that will make you stand out and be the kind of person that clients from these companies are looking to work with. Don't forget, you're trying to build your influence on this platform. As with so many of our interactions online these days, this is a social site as well. So the more relatable you can be, as well as qualified, the better you'll do. Now, let's take this a step further. Some job postings don't just have a cover letter. They have multiple sections to them. There'll always be the cover letter, but quite often job postings will have then some specific questions about you or your experience as they pertain to the job post. Now, clients can select these questions that are either pre-written by Upwork, the most kind of common kinds of questions that they would tend to ask, or they can write their own custom questions. One of the most common questions that you'll find if the client has done this is the client will be asking you for an example of work or a project that is similar to the job posting that they've listed. Now, if you're someone who has a portfolio online that you tend to share regularly that shows the breadth of your skill base and your experience, this is not the place to put that. That's not what the client has asked for. They've asked you for a specific example of a work or project that is similar to the job post they've put. So give them that. Instead of showing a portfolio that touches on all kinds of bases of things you've done, give them a single project that is as close to what the job posting is about as possible. And if it is not that close, if it's fairly off, then make it relatable by expanding upon it and drawing out what in this example you're sharing with them would apply to their job post. Help fill in the dots a little bit if they need filling in. But of course, the closer that work or project is to what they're asking, the better. And if you really have nothing that's close at all, then that might be a good indication that this job posting is not for you, especially as your first one, where we've talked about before, staying well within your expertise level should not be the kind of job where you're pushing the boundaries of what you can do. Rule number 2, end your application by asking the client a question. In the last video, we spoke about how you as a freelancer are shopping for the right client as much as a client is shopping for the right freelancer, and that is absolutely true. Now, if you've already gone through the process of selecting the appropriate job posts and clients that sound like they might be in line for a good candidate for your very first job on the platform, such as verified payment, review history, and those other things we spoke about, so now this is your opportunity to further qualify them by asking them a question or two that pertain to the job post. Job posts on Upwork can quite often be quite vague, or at least they have things that have not been fully elaborated upon. So unless it's a job posting that's this long and it details out absolutely everything, then this is a time that you can ask 1 or 2 questions to show your interest, your excitement in the project, and to offer up the opportunity for that client to begin a conversation with you, or what Upwork would call an interview. This is the time to try and invite that initiation. Now, don't go overboard here. 1, max 2 questions is good, and save it for the end of your application. That way it's the last thing they read. If they're happy with everything they've seen and they like you already, and you finish with a question, it's very easy for them to start a chat room with you on the platform and begin the messaging interactions back and forth, otherwise known as an interview. Now, what kinds of questions should you be asking? Well, it really depends on what the job post is and who you are as an individual. Now, this question could be entirely logistical to do with the project, or it could be entirely social that has something to do with the project or the company at hand. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're a graphic designer and you're applying for a job post for someone to create a logo for a brand new company that sells healthy dog treats. Now, your question could be completely social. You might ask the person what kind of dog they have, or what their favorite breed of dog is. You could offer up what your favorite breed is, or the kind of dog you own. That's a great way to get a conversation rolling with a common mutual interest. Alternatively, say you don't have a dog, or let's say you don't even like dogs. Then you could ask them a more logistical question that would showcase your experience and expertise and show interest in the job. You could say something along the lines of, I know that health food companies often use greens in their logo. Would you like me to create you a color palette with green as a primary color, send you a few ideas and see what you think? Offering a small amount of free work once you're in the conversation is a great way to stand out, especially if you think there's a lot of potential in this client and type of work going forward. Now, a lower effort, purely logistical question would just be to ask the client to elaborate on something not specified in the job posting. It's very important. Don't ask them a question that the answer is already there in the job post. That doesn't look good. That just makes it look like you haven't read things properly. So an example of this kind of question could be, are you needing brand guidelines along with the logo or just logo design? Questions like that showcase some level of expertise that you know what's often required when someone asks for this kind of work, but they're not the kinds of questions that might make the client question you as a freelancer, i.e., what is your due date for this project? All of a sudden that might plant a seed of doubt in the client's mind that you might not be able to hit a deadline if it's too soon, and that might make them question whether you're the right fit or not, even if it's subconscious. And once you've asked that question or two that's appropriate for that job, we'll be moving on to rule number 3. Rule number 3, once you've applied for a job, apply for another job. Don't just sit back and sit on your laurels and wait to hear from that one client. The Upwork works best when you have overlapping stages of progression on multiple jobs at once. And that's because there are sometimes delays to the next steps of progression within a specific job, particularly when it comes to Upwork processing your payments. And if you don't want to be starting and receiving income, long wait, receiving income, you want to have many irons in the fire. You want to be applying for lots of roles. Some people will get back to you quicker. Some people will want to talk to you longer before the work starts. And so it's a good idea to have multiple things rolling at once, and you'll get a bite sooner or later. The more you've applied, if you follow these rules and do it properly, that bite will come, and then that'll be followed by another and another. And now a good rule of thumb here is don't just go willy-nilly applying for everything. Your highest chance of success as a freelancer is by applying to the most recent jobs. I don't apply for any jobs that have been sitting on the site for more than 24 hours. At that point, clients tend to have a pretty good idea of who they're going to hire, or if they haven't followed up by then, they may well not. So once you've made that application for a single job, go back and look what other jobs tick all the boxes that we mentioned in the last video that have been published within the past 24 hours. And once you've done that and you've identified all the jobs that are suitable for you for that first job, then you can take a break. But visit the next day, 24 hours later, see what other jobs came up in those 24 hours and do that again. Wait another day, do it again. You really won't be waiting long, and you will get that first bite, you will get that first interview. And once you've reached the interview phase, this is where I have some great advice to you to really build up your reputation on the platform very quickly. And that is exactly what we're going to discuss on next time's episode of Upworker. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And remember, keep Upworking your way to the very top, and I will see you next time. Till then, Upworkers, bye-bye.